Okay, not a whole lot of notes as we get started. Coming out of a bye week, not having a game to review, but I feel like we've had a good bye week. We had majority of our coaches out recruiting at some point. We're allotted 42 evaluations in the fall. We used the majority of them during our first bye week. We had a handful that we saved for the playoffs and had a number of guys, myself included, out at playoff games. On Friday, I had one coach go out of state to take a look at a prospect in the Deep South. So we were productive that way. Had 3 practices in the middle of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Split half and half, essentially, between development and keeping our guys in tune with progressive game planning with MTSU. A little bit about MTSU. They're a good football team. And granted, they're 5-5 and had a tough loss to Florida International this past week, but they had a 21-3 advantage. I think most of you probably know this. 5 turnovers was the story of their game against Florida International last week. They're 4-1 at home, so we're going against a team that will be confident in that venue. A couple things about their players. On defense, they have a will linebacker, number 38, who's a junior, who is an impressive player. He's fast, he's instinctive, he's physical. He'll be someone we'll have to account for. Number 20, their safety, one of their leading tacklers, also a junior, I believe, is a guy that shows up time in and time again. Their DNs are very active. Which is pretty traditional. I've seen Middle Tennessee a lot over the years. Their DNs are usually a force, and that hasn't changed. They bring in a guy, number 40, who's really looks like a pass rush specialist, and he's leading the team in sacks right now, and he's got the talent to do that. We're getting word that defensive end number 17 may be hurt and out. That'll remain to be seen as we approach that game, but all indications are that he won't play. On offense, one of the things that impresses me the most is they've had 13 players in just the games that we've broken down, which is about half the season. They've had 13 players that have made gains of 15 or more. So they spread the ball around. They get they get the ball to quite a few guys, and they make plays when they get the opportunity. Guys that were impressive from that standpoint that made multiple big plays were 2 running backs, 25 the starter, and 1 his backup, but he plays a lot. They play probably about equal reps, and they're both very impressive. 86 at wide receiver, who's a senior and playing like a senior should be, and I think their O-line is a strength of their football team. They're physical. They work to finish blocks. They play with the kind of attitude you want an offensive line to play. I think they've taken their personality of their coach a little bit, who I've been impressed with in the meetings I've had with him. I think he does a nice job with his football team. So we've got a big challenge as we work to get a victory here as we finish out the season in these last 2 games headed to Middle Tennessee.
Did you go to Saturday's game in FIU?
No, we're not allowed. Yeah, NCAA doesn't allow us to scout in person, so no, I was not there. So, yep.
Which of the assistants went to the South?
Coach Hurd. Yep.
How do you feel? I mean, the commitments now could disappear by February, but I mean, how do you feel the recruiting process has gone?
I think it's been really good, and this class, you have to dance with the rules right now, but this class, they've got great communication lines with each other. The feeling that we've gotten both times, the first bye week and then this last bye week, is the high school coaches know what we're building. The high school coaches respect the direction we're headed, and their response to us is extremely positive. This time of year, we're not allowed to talk to the recruits, so in person, obviously we talk to them on the phone weekly, or if they call us, more than weekly. But the response in terms of the future for this program is extremely positive, and the recruiting class is an indicator of that.
Last week, the Channel 12 Player of the Week was one of your commits. Are you looking for qualities like, that they talked about him, this guy's the leader of our team. I mean, is that the kind of qualities you're looking for?
You took the word out of my mouth. Exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what we're looking for. Is we're trying to recruit obviously talented kids, but the more leadership qualities that we can bring into our locker room and into this program as we're stabilizing everything, the quicker our turnaround is going to be. And without a doubt, that's a huge, huge prerequisite for these guys to be a part of our class.
I think last week you mentioned there were 6 evaluations left. Did you guys resolve those?
We did, yeah. So we're out of evaluations. So with next time we'll be out is the contact week, which is November 30th.
Injury update. Do you have any word on Greg and Tony yet?
Both of them are questionable for this Saturday, but it's day to day, and they're both progressing along a little bit each day. Correct.
Greg have any involvement at all?
Did not. No, still sticking with rehab at this point, and we're hopeful for continued progress this week.
Right. I mean, is it sort of you need to see something in practice before putting him on the field Saturday?
Say that again.
Is it a circumstance where you need to see him?
Yeah, we would. We would need to have those guys at least participate in Thursday's practice for them to have a chance to play in Saturday's game.
Is that Greg Henderson and Tony Moore?
No, Greg Howell.
Greg Howell?
Yeah.
And you said Lucky should be fine for.
Yeah, Lucky was a full participant in yesterday's practice, so he's in good shape.
And then Joe, how's he prepared?
Still day to day, has not participated in practice yet, so we're hopeful that he'll be back, but that's another day to day.
Speaking of Lucky, you're going to lose him. You're going to lose an element there that has been key to your offensive success.
Yeah.
How much are you trying to address replacing that?
Well, the good thing is we feel like Bussy and his progress is someone that can help fill those shoes and fill that role as a part of our offense. We'll certainly are recruiting and have recruited that style of player. I'm processing the rule and what I can say. We feel good that we have people that fit that talent, that talent structure that can help do what Lucky does. And now Lucky is special, and Lucky's a senior and had his best year his senior year, which is great. So hopefully between Bussy and some of the players on the roster and coming to the roster, we can fill those production points.
Did you, I think you mentioned about Damien that there was a possibility that he could have surgery on the hand. Did you like to do that?
He did. Yeah, he had the pin put in, which actually helps speed his recovery. They're going to put a playing cast on it and work him through practice tomorrow, and he's probable for the game.
What do you sense from your guys after losing the possibility of going to a bowl? I mean, there had to be a little bit of a letdown. Did they pick it up again?
They did through the course of the week. It was a good time for a bye week after what was a heartbreaking loss. And like you said, with that taking bowl potential out of the equation, what the good thing is we've talked a lot about with the team. These last two games are about progress, building a program, moving forward in the future, and also honoring our seniors that have been through a lot. And to the credit of the seniors, this means a lot to me. I've had several come into my office and say, Coach, it's not about me. It's not about us. It's about this program moving forward. I said, that's awesome, but we're still going to do everything we can to win for you too. But that to me says a lot about the direction we're headed and what we're trying to build in our locker room.
What specifically, when looking back and looking at now before these two games, what do you particularly want to see in these last two games?
I really want to see kind of what we've seen throughout the year in terms of what our goals have been or what we've been trying to achieve and just get better. We're going to have some guys potentially playing at different spots, so give them a chance to, show their growth and progress as a football player, and just get better as a football team. Some young guys are going to be put into the game. There won't be any new red shirts taken off or anything like that, but you have the potential with some of the injury factor put in of young guys continuing to play, and their learning curve is steep. So hopefully you see drastic progress with those guys as we continue to work our way through the end of the season.
Who might be some of those guys that you might put in different situations?
Not everything hasn't settled yet. Yeah, I mean, we're not doing it just for the sake of doing it. Some of it is because of questionable players, which will lead to some of that, but all that hasn't been completely ironed out yet where I'm ready to talk about it.
You looking to maybe get Hankerson some more snaps this week?
Well, there's always competition every week. Quez right now is at this point our starter. I do potentially see Greg in the game, not necessarily a quarterback. We've put him and Quez in at times, and we'll see where that goes. But don't have that scheduled where he's going to go at this series or that series. So.
What would be sort of a necessary step for the defense in these last two games? Is it just stopping the run a little bit better? Is it making more of a turnover here or there? Are there particular goals that you want to see the defense?
Two things. You'd like to see an increase in takeaways would be one, and really the other would be limiting the big plays. Yeah, if we can get those two things accomplished this week, then we'll feel good about the progress of our defense.
How important would it be to get that goose egg eliminated on the road?
I think it'd be big. I think to get a win on the road in the conference against a quality opponent would mean a lot moving forward. So our kids have been preparing well. They've gotten a head start on MTSU the way you would hope them or hope that they would. So I'm excited about the way they're preparing. I'm glad that we got a week to rest some of the guys that are nicked up and banged up to get those guys back that we haven't even talked about that are just have gone through 10 weeks. So that helped us. But you're right, winning one on the road would be good for our program.
Did for Jay Warren and Shalom, are they still having headache symptoms, or is that sort of?
They're working their way. They're working their way through the protocol. The protocol is very strict, and we're very careful with those. But they've been symptom free for a duration of time, so they're working their way through protocol before they get cleared.
Do you see them being able to participate fully in practice this week?
I'll find out tomorrow when we head to practice where they are in terms of the protocol. They go through that protocol each day. There's part of the protocol today. There will be a protocol piece of it tomorrow before practice, so it's hard to predict.
This seems kind of late in the year to have a bye. I mean, I know you didn't have anything to say about this year.
Sure.
But is that something you would maybe prefer to have your buys earlier in the future, or does it matter?
I don't think it matters. Like you said, you really haven't. That's something that's out of your control. I think it came at a good time where we were a little beat up emotionally and physically, so we needed it at this point. So it was good. But the bye week when it fell before was at a good time. We were halfway through the season, and we needed at that point to reset, and it was at a good time. So I'm indifferent. I'd rather have it mid-season or beyond as opposed to first, second week. Some teams have it the first week and don't even play until second week of the college football season. I'd struggle with that.
You've had 10 games now.
Mm-hmm.
Is there sort of looking towards the future now without the bowl being a possibility? Is there sort of changes that you want to make to the identity of the football team? Are there sort of tweaks that you would like to make that could start to integrate themselves at this point in the season, or is that too much of a script to even try to think of?
Well, I think to change the identity would be a false statement. That's not something I'm looking to do. It's a continued education. Yeah. Here's what I see is I see us continuing to work towards what we believe our identity needs to be, and that's a defense that's sound, that doesn't give up big plays, that works to stop the run first. Offensively, we're working to continue to be a high-tempo, skill-based football team that can run the ball. So we're recruiting and developing with that in mind all the time. I have countless meetings with our strength staff about working towards that identity. Our young players are learning about that identity. Our veterans are continuing to learn what it takes to be a part of that identity all the time. So we're just continuing to fight towards what we want our identity to be.
You mentioned sort of having the players, get adjusted to that.
Mm-hmm.
How has that sort of been, and the struggles with that, knowing that here was a team that ran a certain style offense and a certain style defense, and now that you guys have slowly moved more so to your
Sure.
what you want.
Well, it hasn't changed a whole lot. They were a 4-3 base team last year. We're a 4-3 base team this year. There's some coverage differences. There's a few pressure differences, but all in all, the structure is very similar. Offensively, we're on the same path. There's some things that we're working to do better, like every unit of every team is working towards. So it's just continue to get better, and a lot of that is going to be done through recruitment and development.
As you go through the recruiting process here, obviously you're looking to upgrade the talent level. How confident are you that that is happening in this class?
Very,
Yeah.
very. Yeah, there's one thing I am very, very confident in, and that's that we've built a great relationship with these coaches in this state, that young men in this state know what we're building, and they want to be a part of it. And my confidence in that part of our program is as high as it possibly could be. Very, very excited for where the future goes. And like you said, there's things that happen in recruiting, and we've got plan A, B, C. So I feel very good about that piece of our future. Now, the thing we are doing, we're building it. We'll have a couple junior college kids mixed in, but we're not going to go full-scale junior college because we want to build, I was directed to build a stable program, one that will continue to progress and build to a winning future. My belief wholeheartedly is that's done primarily through the high school ranks. And you bring them in, you develop them, you establish your identity, and you move forward. And that takes time. I'm confident that we're moving in the right direction.
Is there any, along the same lines, is there any negative implications to being 3-7 as far as selling the future of the program?
Well, certainly you have to explain why you're 3-7. Explain how close you were on some games, why we were a play or two away from being a different record. That's part of the recruiting process. If your record is 10-2, you're gonna have to explain those 2 losses. If you're undefeated national title and you have a bunch of kids back, you're gonna have to explain what those kids' role will be coming in, even though a lot of players from a national title team are coming back. So every recruiting department has its challenges, and we embrace them.
I know you, in the first bite, mentioned having sort of the time and the ability to reach out to coaches and colleges and sort of get an idea of where to move forward with, with your first year's coach. Did you do that again?
Yeah, I really do it every week, and I did talk to a couple guys this week. A lot of it was just stay the course. Stay the course. Talked about things that come up, things here and there, and people recognize, people who really know football, know what we're doing, know what we're building, recognize that the kids continue to play hard. That's a big piece of changing a culture. Continue to play hard all the time, every game, worry about one play at a time. All those things become cliches for a reason because they work. Stay the course. And that's a lot of the advice that I got this week and really continue to get every week.
Is that will that be the biggest indicator on Saturday? It's just the amount of effort, knowing, you're not playing for something long term. You're playing for that in the moment and for the seniors. Is that going to be a great indicator?
That will be one of the indicators. I think execution is going to be a big. Well, I know execution will be the other indicator that we're looking for. Did they focus enough where we execute well? And we're expecting the effort.
Just on a side note, I noticed Arkansas, as I'm sure you did, finally broke through.
Yeah.
I'm sure you got a kick out of that.
I did. I exchanged a couple texts with Brett on Saturday night. Really, really happy for him. The only surprise I have is that it, took as long as it did for Brett to get that SEC win. It was just a matter of time. And there's a guy who's building a culture, and you might not have a bigger culture shift than following Coach Petrino and his style compared to what Coach Bielema's style is. So they've got a great, bright future ahead of them. Brett will do a great job. And, again, it starts with recruitment and development right there, too. I'm looking at last year freshman O-linemen. The parallels in some ways are fun for me to see. I look at Denver Kirkland, who came from down here, and Skipper, who 2 freshman O-linemen last year. And you look at their body changes leading into this season and the way they're playing in arguably the best division in college football. Their progress path is fun to watch, and I'm happy for them.
Are these kids you recruited?
I was involved with Denver a little bit. Randy Shannon was the main recruiter for him, though, and Skipper came from Denver, and our O-line coach recruited him. Yeah. But those are just the parallel, 2 starting freshman O-linemen. See the same parallel here and what we believe those 2 freshmen here can do leading to spring ball and then leading into the season. It's fun to think about.
Excluding Andre Kirk, how do you see the linebacker situation playing out on Saturday, knowing what you saw on tape with Jared last week?
Sure. A lot of it's based on Robert Ralph's health and where he sits at that point. See if he's also going through the protocol, so hopefully he'll be available on Saturday. A lot of it will depend on his health progress through the course of the week.
And was he having, did that sort of occur? He didn't play much against North Texas.
Correct.
Was that sort of because
No, it came back. Well, he went through the protocol, got himself cleared, came back out.
it didn't feel right, I guess, is what you felt?
Yeah, he didn't get many practice reps during the course of the week, so he felt unprepared. And then through the course of this week, we're just continuing to be careful. That's an injury we don't want to take any chances with, and will not do that here during during my tenure. So we're just being smart with him.
Did you talk about what you've seen in Jared, freshman?
Jared Ward, sure.
Yeah.
You saw tremendous growth through the course of that game. Missed a couple tackles, had a couple misfits early in the game. Late in the game, was fitting things well, was making tackles in and around the line of scrimmage. His progress somewhat mirrored the progress of our defense through the course of that game, where gave up a couple plays here and there early in the game, and then we were getting 3 and outs in the second half. And Jared's progress was a big part of that, and he was learning, by being thrown into the fire. And I'm proud of him for a freshman coming in the situation he came in, to just keep practicing hard every day and preparing the right way. And that gave him a chance as he learned the speed of the game to get better through the course of that night.
He comes out of a program that I think is stamped as the best, B model for Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
How much does that help him coming into this situation?
Well, I think it's huge. The more kids that we can bring in with an expectation to win, the better off our program is going to be. That's a factor too. If we're looking at a recruiting board and we have 2 young men right next to each other that we've evaluated as same GPA, same character traits, same this, same that, ideally you'd like to get the young man from a winning program. That does factor into your recruiting decisions, and you can feel that expectation to win from Jared all the time. And I don't ever want him to lose that.
How surprised were you that it seemed he was sort of in the midst of not really knowing where he was going to go, and then you come along and there's an opportunity. Were you surprised that a talent like him was sort of went a little unnoticed during the recruiting standpoint?
Very, because I was very aware of Jared through the whole process. I was, yeah. And that's where recruiting sometimes can hurt a young man that has a great senior year, because recruiting now is so fast that positions and programs fill up, and even if they like that player X more than player Y that they already have committed, they're full, and you can't start walking away from players that you already have committed, or now your integrity's in check. So that's where a young man like Jared, who really had a great spring game. I remember it like I was standing there yesterday. I went to his spring game, and they were so loaded. Sometimes that can be challenging for one coach from a university to go to a school that has, I can't remember how many they signed last year, but there was a lot of them, and you're trying to watch them all, and it's not easy. That sometimes can make it hard for a young man like Jared too. But to answer your question, yes, I was surprised.
How, with recruiting moving forward, how much can a story like his help relate to the other recruiting aspect of trying to recruit Florida and get to South Florida, and especially Palm County? How much can his story help recruiting moving forward?
I think it helps a lot, and I say that because not only is our 85 scholarship recruiting plan got to be big for us, the walk-on program needs to be big also. I come from several programs with very successful walk-on programs. And the reality is kids unfortunately slip through the cracks. And if people come here and know that they're going to be treated the right way and treated equally as walk-ons, and have high expectations and get coached and get all the support that they should get, that does nothing but help our program. And we've got walk-ons that we recruit and that we need to be a part of this program as we move forward. It's big.
Is there any other, trying to think if there are any other injury updates as far as last week?
Yeah. You think back to developmental, just one guy that I actually did write down, that Nick Nicola continues to impress. He's a guy that is worth you guys noting about his progress, his strength levels in the weight room, his tenacity on the football field. He came back home to be close to family and help his family, and the way he's progressing and performing on and off the field has been fun to watch. I'm excited for him to get through this year that he has to sit and in the spring have a chance to really be in the mix, because he's going to be a good player for us if he stays on this path.